After racing with the Torment Warlock and actually defeating Aberroth, I was able to update my Torment Warlock guide and I had a lot of fun playing this build. It is an absolute brain AFK build that you can play to its absolute efficiency when you are just pressing 2 buttons and then rushing forward. It's a great experience in my opinion. It is visually super stunning and pleasing, and it shreds Aberroth insanely fast. The kill that you can see right here is not with min-maxed gear whatsoever. I just had this character, played it up a little bit, got the required uniques to further increase the damage, and then just blasted Aberroth. This was actually one of the coolest fights ever. If you want to see the boss kill, it is in the previous video. And let's jump into the build guide. So how does the build actually function? It's a very interesting build to me, as you are trying to spread your Spirit Plague to get as much ward as possible whenever you hit a target that is afflicted by Spirit Plague. Spirit Plague is going to be spread on a critical strike against an afflicted target, and that is the purpose of Chaos Bolts, because that can actually critically strike a target. But how do you conjure Chaos Bolts? You actually don't really right click, or in this case use the Chaos Bolts a lot yourself on single target. That's a different story, but your Chthonic Fissure is taking care of casting the Chaos Bolts for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to apply a Spirit Plague to 1 target, maybe even 2 or 3 targets, depending on how high of a corruption level you are currently facing. And then you're going to cast your Chthonic Fissure, which is then going to cast your Chaos Bolts with the Chaotic Rupture here, that are then going to critically strike the targets that have a Spirit Plague, granting you ward, and then also spreading the Spirit Plague even further to more and more enemies, and therefore generating even more ward. So you can see those very high ward numbers as we saw at the beginning of the video. On top of that, you are also going to be triggering Rip Blood all of the time with this exacted libation, and this is going to then use the Rip Blood that we also have specialized, which is also going to grant you ward with the Arcane Fortress, further increasing your defenses, and with quenching you're also going to get more of that, and the Blood Orbs are going to travel faster back to you. So all of the synergies combined are further going to be amplified by Profane Veil, which whenever you have cast literally everything, you are going to go into your Profane Veil, and you're then going to increase your damage tremendously. Not only are you going to apply penance on top of that, but you're also going to have the Profane Veil added defense, and you're also going to start casting Profane Orbs, which are then also going to help you with your damage, and you are going to activate your damage to cursed while concealed, and also your damage while channeling on your gear. And on top of that, Chthonic Fissure also scales with your uncapped Necrotic Res and also your added crit multi. Now speaking of gear, as you can see here, I have added an endgame version to the planner that is going to be linked down below, and I have added the uniques or legendaries in this case, and also have given them the ideal slams. Let's start out with the Barbute here. Insanely crazy for your defenses. As soon as you get this is single-handedly going to carry your defenses on the build all of the time, and it's also providing more necrotic res. And as you know, we are scaling our necrotic resistance to further increase our damage, and also Barbute is going to basically make use of that uncapped necrotic res and is going to give you more ward per second. So while stacking your offenses, you're also stacking your defenses, and that is basically just an absolute no-brainer to do on this build, because that is just a crazy synergy that you can take advantage of for free whenever you are using the Barbute. Then we have the Marina's Lost Soul, with ideally the crit multi, but if you get something like damage over time, that's also totally fine. This is just the best in slot version that is possible. If you find a 2 LP, that would be insane, but 1 LP is already more than enough. In this case, you are gonna damn yourself whenever you're casting a spell, so every time you're spreading you're casting your Spirit Plague manually, or you're casting your Chaos Bolts on a single target encounter, you're gonna get damned. And you're going to get Necrotic Penetration for every damned stack that you have. In this, it's very easy to have 5+ stacks, so you are going to have 100% necrotic penetration, therefore increasing your damage tremendously. Mortality's Grasp on top of everything is going to give you a chance to mark for death on hit with necrotic spells. This is taken care of with your Chaos Bolt, for example, and it's going to then not only give you more curses, further increasing your damage, but also providing the mark for death effect, which is going to reduce the target's resistances, so skyrocketing your damage. And then you also have the intelligence and the necrotic resistance here to further increase your ward, also scale your damage. With the necrotic resistance, it is very strong in here. Then Twisted Heart is probably one of the craziest items in the game. It's just going to give you insane amounts of wards instantly whenever you find this, every time you're casting stuff. But on top of that, the necrotic spells and elemental spells get +1 each, which again is going to be Chaos Bolt is profiting of both of these. So it's an insane item to have. Also, the Chthonic Fissure itself also profits off of this. Then for the non-uniques or the legendaries, as you can see, I have added the suffixes here. Compared to the previous video. In this, I'm trying to push you into a direction a little bit more of seeing the very important defensives on the suffixes. It still does not matter if you have the necrotic resistance here or the void resistance here. It's just very important that you hit your resistance caps. So for example, I could also seal a physical resistance here on the neck or on the chest, for example. But that's for you to figure out according to the gear of your character. But there are few very important things that I need to highlight here, especially on the chest and also on the boots. You can see that we have the reduced bonus damage taken from critical strikes, and this is going to almost negate the critical strike damage because we have the 50 implicit here and we have the 45 on the chest, so we're at 95% reduced bonus damage taken from critical strikes. That's more than enough, so you don't have to worry about that. Very important defensive-wise. Then on the other items, for example, we do have the crit multi here on the neck. Get it as high as possible because, again, that is scaling all of your other damage too. Then we have the cast speed on the offhand. We are stacking Necro Res everywhere possible, and the rings are helping you doing that because of the implicit. They also bring the ward decay threshold with them. And again, the suffixes, more so just free for all, just try to get your resistances covered by those. And whenever you can get increased cooldown recovery speed on the boots, or for example here on the belt, that is going to help you out tremendously in terms of damage, because that is further reducing your Profane Veil cooldown a lot. I'm not going to go into super detail here for the passives. I suggest you check these out real quick and take a look at those. Do not really follow the order right here. Ideally, you would start with putting 20 points here, whereas the leftover points you're going to take out of these here, right here. And then at 20, you're going to go and fill out the 60 points in the Warlock stuff. As soon as that is done, I would go into the Lich passives and definitely grab the Intelligence, increased mana regeneration here. There's also more necrotic damage hidden, and at some point you want to get the Crippling Insight. When you have all these 28 points spent in a Lich, then you go back into the Acolyte base class and then fill the Blood Aura here. The idols are pretty much straightforward. We want to get Curse spell damage. We want to increase the duration of Profane Veil, because that is also skyrocketing the damage that you're going to deal during it, because you're in your Profane Veil for longer period of time. Then we have Necrotic Rest on all the second slots here and some increased damage over time, while we are also having Curse spell damage as basically one of the most important things, together with the increased duration for Profane Veil. And in the blessings, try to get the greater increased experience one as fast as you can from killing Abomination in the Empowered Monos. Maybe if you're still chasing the uniques, you can change this to Grant Winds of Fortune, for example, if you are around level 95, 96 or so, because actually the grind to level 100 is taking quite a lot of time. And to be honest, there is not really a huge power difference between level 95 and level 100. It's just 5 of the passive skills. And as we said, these five are gonna go here. They are not extremely important, so you can definitely take those points out and take that blessing out and actually get something useful if you are still chasing the uniques. Then we also really want from the Black Sun, we want a crit multi, and obviously the wards per second from ending the storm. is going to help you out tremendously. Reign of Dragons with 20 all-res is extremely strong, basically alleviating the pressure that you usually have for all of your for fixing all of your resistances. With this, it's just 10 times easier, and you can stack that very important necrotic resistance on all of your gear. And we're also going to go and take some armor right here with the percent increase, and also the flat armor increase in Spirits of Fire. It was very easy for me to farm 300 corruption with this build. You can even go higher and higher. I just wanted to swap over to the next build already and don't really need to super min-max the character. This is basically 90% done, 80 to 90% done character, and I was easily able to cruise through 300 corruption. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. As you can see, the ward is extremely high and continuously maintained because you are spreading your Spirit Plague on all of the targets, while your Chthonic Fissure is generating the ward by hitting those targets with the Chaos Bolt and all the other stuff. If you see yourself struggling with the ward, I suggest you spread the Spirit Plague instead of casting the Chaos Bolts, because therefore you already have more targets with the Spirit Plague, therefore generating more ward, instead of just blasting the Chaos Bolts and trying to spread the Spirit Plague that way. On single target encounters, you just apply Spirit Plague once and you just hammer the Chaos Bolts as much as possible while keeping up your Chthonic Fissure, because the Spirit Plague is going to reset its duration all the time whenever you are hitting the target with Chaos Bolts, and therefore you can very easily get to extremely high numbers of ward, especially in single target encounters. Also, the Aberroth encounter is super fun with this build because you can very easily dodge deadly stuff with the Profane Veil, and also you are regenerating your ward like crazy because you are actually able to spam the Chaos Bolts all the time on your target, therefore going to insanely high ward levels and being extremely safe when it comes to trying and killing Aberroth. So I would basically say that this might be the easiest build to kill Aberroth with. Of course, if you're doing some bug build that is just going to one-shot it, that's going to be easier. But if you are into Warlock stuff, this is going to be the build for you if you want to kill Aberroth. As you can see here, I have very easily 8k ward while spamming Chaos Bolts, being replenished all of the time on the ward because I keep hitting a Spirit Plague target, and I can very easily tank 1 or 2 of the deadly beams that you can see here on the side, and it's going to trivialize the fight for you. And you're actually, with Transplant, you're moving quite well. You can dodge all the very important abilities, and if something goes wrong, you just go into your Profane Veil, basically making it extremely easy to kill Aberroth. And again, the damage that you can see here on this character is not even min-maxed. The Twisted Heart is not 1 LP, the Marinas is not 1 LP. I had 1 LP on the Barbute, but I actually didn't even slam it to begin with, so there is a lot of potential still in this build, and you can very easily do this. There's also another version of this where you get rid of the Spirit Plague for the Aberroth boss fight and play with Aura of Decay, reducing the damage over time that is happening in the fight. But yeah, you don't even need to change to the Aura of Decay stuff, and you can very easily secure the Aberroth kill. And that's basically it for the build. If you have any questions, I suggest you check me out on Twitch, because I'm going to be live right now working on the next build, which is going to be the Bleed Falconer, which I'm extremely excited about. If you want to come ask questions to the Torment Warlock, or you're excited for the journey for the Bleed Falconer, then I suggest you check me out on Twitch. Again, I'm going to be live right now. And if you like content similar to this, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.